as in, people stopped writing themselves. So you become so dependent on the AI tool that you cannot put in two sentences together, and then you become anxious, and then you're like, oh no, the app is down. What should I do? The idea is that it should help you enhance what you are doing and make it easier for you. Become your assistant kind of, or let you save time. Not that you should stop writing entirely or stop, putting together emails. Before I got into communications, I have about 20 plus years of experience, which includes 10 years of 10 plus years of communication. But before that, I started off as a professional in a bank. So I worked my way from a bank to a sales professional to a business development. And then I have also worked as e-commerce head for consumer electronics. I've done pretty much, even done market research. So, but at the end of the day, writing is my passion. I love writing. So I practically can, write in my sleep also sometimes. If you ask me to write, I can do that. So, and writing on anything, any topic is not like, it's not like I don't know. It will take me some time to understand a topic or whatever, but then I can write about it. So because it's a passion, a few years ago, say around 2013, I decided to actually make it my career. So if you look at it, I am doing what I love. Okay. And the idea was not corporate communication, but it somehow has translated to corporate communication. The idea was to write. So whether it was a book, whether it was thesis, whether it was stories, even serials. So that was the idea, to get into writing and communication. So over 10 years from 2013 onwards, I have been writing about different industries. So whether it was food, economics, e-commerce, IT, maybe you can say what do you call it? The manufacturing industry, or it was just the e-commerce industry, shopping, fashion. I've written on practically everything, including financial topics. So I've also written for TV serials, summary episodes and things like that. So that I have done quite a few years ago. Okay, and then like everybody knew that COVID happened in 2019. So I was freelancing, as in I was my own boss for quite some time. But in 2019, because of COVID, a lot of things shut down, right? And then we had a lot of clients and things like that. So in 2021, so I was still okay till 2021, but then in 21, I was like, okay, let me try if I can get back to the corporate and see if I can, obviously you always need a steady income. That's where it starts from. So, and somebody knew me and recommended me to someone, and that's how I got to know about research and ranking. And so over the years, everybody has recommended me somewhere else. That's how I've gone through a lot of things. So I have been here at research and ranking for 2 years. Now I've handled plenty of things since I've joined in. So we've handled marketing campaigns, writing content. So I've written content for practically every team in the organization. And that's how it started. So that's where I got into communication. I'm happy doing what I love writing, and because it's my passion, it doesn't feel like work sometimes, but yes, it becomes tedious at times. But it's not like I am saying, that, oh my God, I'm fed up of doing this. That's never going to happen, because I am always learning something. So, and I'm somebody who wants to learn something. I will not stop at knowing one thing and, forgetting about it. Data has always been a part of it. Like when I was in the e-commerce industry, we followed, how many was sold in a day, what is the cost of it, and how does it help us? Is it going to allow? And it helps us actually predict how much would be sold the next season, or maybe 3 months later. So we always had a 3 months, like everybody does quarter. We did quarter budgeting, or we did quarter plan. So all the data that we are talking of, all of this helped us understand how the next quarter would work for us when we were talking about e-commerce industry, or maybe festival, and then we would earmark for higher production, more products to be displayed, or something like that, and then decide whether we wanted to do an offer, do a discount. Now the same thing has translated into content as well. Like you write a lot of things. Okay, you write case studies, you write maybe you may write something that is educational, then you want to do something promotional, but everything leads back to what did well in the first campaign may translate on to doing well in the next campaign. So the data that we use and how we use is for those things, as in to understand basically how consumers would behave ideally. So I've been doing that for like since I've been working in the industry, for not just this industry but wherever I have worked, we've used it to understand how the consumers would behave. That's a pattern that you check out, right? So that's how it has translated. Now, when it comes to communications, the patterns that we check are people reading our content? Are they just looking at the title and they're going away? Are they bouncing back, or they are in the page, and they're scrolling through? Are they understanding what is being written? So we also have metrics like liking or giving a star rating to it. So if they like the content, then they will give you a star rating. If they don't like the content, they may not give you a rating, or they give you a bad rating, so you understand, okay, that's not what they want. And then you also obviously have Google Discover, you have Google News, you also have search, right? So the better your content is, the higher you are on the ranking. So all of these things are measured even today for us as a metric. See, because content is subjective. Okay, what may be good for you may not be good for me. So how do you make something subjective objective? That is the only way to do it. And measuring something subjective is very difficult because everybody's bias comes into the picture, and then you don't realize how you're going to quantify it. How does one quantify it? Is to understanding what are the links that people are clicking, where the people are going, how are they doing it, are they filling up lead forms when they come to our content, or is it interesting enough for them to even share it with somebody? That's how it helps us understand. So that's where data comes into the picture over here with us. It's not maybe a campaign per se, but a project. So what we did was, when I joined Research and Ranking, the first year itself, we decided to do a year-in review magazine. Now, when I call it a magazine, I mean a literal magazine, a 60, 70-pager magazine. A year-in review. So the year-in review is something like, suppose it's Jan to December, correct? 1st of Jan of the next year is our new year. As in 2024 will be the new year. So the magazine will be released on 1st of January 2024, but it will be a look back at the year behind, which is 2023. Okay, so then the magazine spoke of, we did it like there were just three of us, me, a colleague of mine, and the girl who did the HTML and the designing for us at that first time that we did it. Okay, so and the first time we did it, we literally were working all through the month of December for it, because we had to put up content, we had to write new content, and then we had to design it, right? So my 31st was spent. I was there in office till like about 11:30 that night, 31st of December, okay? And because it had to go out on 1st of January. But when it was sent out, we sent it out to close to like 6 lakh people in our registered user base. And we got lovely comments from them. A lot of people started asking about it. So people in the office did not know about it, but the users received that news, that magazine. That was the first magazine that we released at here, and it was called Sage Pitch. It is still called Sage Pitch. So it's one of our projects that we do every year. Once a year magazine it is. We don't do it like, you can't actually do a magazine like every month because it's a little difficult. You aren't a publication. So we did that magazine and it was like well received. Okay, so that was the first year. Then we did it last year. As in this January, we sent out another magazine, which was the second edition. The second edition we sent it out to all our shareholders as well. So it was so liked by everybody, and we printed like about 500, 600 copies. We didn't want to send it out to a lot of people, but we sent it to a select few, and everybody loved it. So that has been the highlight, because see, when you do something and you put a lot of effort into it, and you want to see it become a success, and when people like it or people appreciate all the effort that you put in, then it becomes a good thing to do. Because so we'd also published it on our website. So we have two versions of it. We have a book version of it that is printed copy, and we have an online version. The online version, we still get visits and people still read about it. Okay, so We did those things, and there were a couple of other campaigns as well that did phenomenally well. And we've done a lot of things. Maybe we did it the first time or we did it together, but we did plenty of things that helped us reach a place where we are today. The metrics that we are measuring are visits. We measure monthly users, we measure daily users. Then we look at engagement on the page. We also look at the sessions that people are using or the number of sessions used. And we are also looking at the number of votes that we are getting for the content that we have and how it is working out. So those are the things that we measure, like monthly basis, weekly basis, it's getting measured as per like what we've decided. But those are the things that we definitely measure. Now there are two metrics that it's not one metric maybe. I will say I like two metrics. So one metric is the number of users who are coming to read it and the votes that I'm getting on it. Okay? Because these are the two things that are not, you cannot control them. So a person coming to the website, you can't control, and you can't control the person who is giving you a rating. Okay, it depends on the person entirely. Those are the two metrics that really tell me how the content was and the quality of the content. So obviously when I'm writing or when my team of writers is writing, people may feel that we are running after numbers or people want to run after numbers, but I believe that if you write quality always triumphs over quantity. Okay, you may write 100, but if they are all copied, nobody will like it. But you may write 10, and if they are not copied, they are not plagiarized, and they are actually something that you want to read, automatically it will give you the help, or it will give you the measures that you are looking out for. Maybe the voting rates will go high, the number of votes will be higher. So something like a 5-star rating and you are at 4.9, it's not a bad rating, it's a good rating actually. So the industry standard is somewhere like 3.9, 4. If you are anything above 4, you are anything about 4.5, you are doing good. There's obviously room for, what do you call it? There's room for improvement. But if you're doing that well, and if you do it consistently, I believe it will help. So artificial intelligence, like, okay, the ChatGPT came into the picture and people started using ChatGPT. Okay, it's not that I don't use ChatGPT, I do. But for me, ChatGPT is an additional tool that I can use to enhance what I want to do. It is not the only tool I will use to write. There are plenty of people who are just using that tool. If you know how to use the tool, fabulous, nothing like it. It's not something that, I feel you should rely on completely. Okay. At the end of the day, it's an app. Okay. An app can come down, an app can crash. Okay. But your skills, which you have inherently, okay, should not be defunct, as in, people stop writing themselves. So you become so dependent on the AI tool that you cannot put in two sentences together, and then you become anxious, and then you're like, oh no, the app is down, what should I do? The idea is that it should help you enhance what you are doing and make it easier for you, become your assistant kind of, or let you save time. Not that you should stop writing entirely or stop, putting together emails. Like, I'm serious. I have seen a lot of people, they use ChatGPT to write formal emails. I mean, formal emails are hardly like 2 lines, 3 lines. If you use ChatGPT to write formal emails, where is the things that you have learned? You tend to forget it. For example, when people started using SMS, okay, everybody started writing in short form. You started writing in short form, that translated to you writing the same way when you were writing emails. Okay, and a lot of people did not understand it. So what you did was you actually gave up your writing, holding a pen, to SMS languages, and then you had to relearn it because you were like, oh, in an official email I cannot write SMS language, right? It's the same thing. It's the same thing as that's happening. Yes, it's there in comms. People are using it like fantastically, phenomenally. There are hundreds of people who are like trying to teach you how to use that tool. Nothing like it. Okay, there are people who want to become prompt engineers and things. But the idea is it should be a helping tool to you. It should not be something that takes over what you are doing. If it does take over what you are doing, then you are redundant. You are no longer required. Right? If AI becomes the end all and be all, then what are you doing in communication? As in people. How will we work? Right? So the idea is, yes, I understand. I also use ChatGPT, but I use a couple of other tools, maybe for images, maybe for understanding it better. But I use them as tools that will help me enhance what I'm doing, not as something that, if that is not there tomorrow, I will stop writing. That will not happen. So for me, that is how it is. It's a 50-50 thing. It's helping me save time. That's the most important thing that I can think of right now. Because I have seen, say you and I both put in the same prompt, we will get the same content. That's not really what you should be getting. So you imagine like 100 employees using the same prompt and they're getting the same email content, and everybody is sending the same email to each other. How does it feel? And how like people don't even understand, because the language used is not user language. It's more Americanized, more super formal. If you don't understand them, then you will really not know what is actually email is talking about, or maybe the communication is talking about. But yeah, that's how it is. Ideally, I would feel that there should be a metric that would help you measure something subjective without making it objective. Okay, an impartial metric that will measure a subjective item like it's supposed to be, which is subjective, and not make it objective. So I don't know what kind of a metric that could be, but the idea of that metric would be something where, if it's subjective, if it's a book that you are measuring, or if it's say a thesis that it needs to be measured, it should not be measured on the basis of how many users came into it. It should be measured on the basis of the quality of it, or is it engaging enough? Is it engrossing you? Is it teaching you something? So those are the metrics that people should look for in communication. Communications are something that touch your heart. How can we make it a machine and say, oh, there are so many thousands of people coming and watching it. They read it, they saw it. People forget. Right? If people forget, then it's not that great. But if you remember something that you read 10 years ago, or maybe you read it 5 months ago, and you still remember it, wow, the person who ever wrote it or whatever you read was so impactful that you remembered it. That is a memory that is there in your brain. Like when we were studying in school, okay, or college for that matter, doing marketing, you read books from Philip Kotler, okay. The basics of marketing till today are the same. Do you forget them? No, you don't forget them. But you still remember the author's name, right? Because he made it so easy for you to understand it or remember it. That is what you need in a measure activity. The idea that something can help you recollect it, it's like a memory, photo memory, exactly like that. So if something's measured, something like that, it would be fabulous. It would help so people understand, what really works, what really doesn't work. Not that we have to do guesswork. Okay, if this has worked now, will it work tomorrow? No guesswork. It will be like simply, yeah, this works. So let's try to do something else in the same sphere, or maybe, do something better. To everyone out there who wants to get into communication is dynamic. Okay, you have to be prepared to learn all the time. It's just like social media is. Everybody's learning every day because there's something new happening. It's the same case with communication. One day somebody will say that you communicate in a shorter form. One day somebody will say communicate in a longer form. This is working better this season. This is working better that season. So you should be very, very open to learning. Okay, learning does not stop. So whether it is PR, whether you learn how to write, or you learn how to understand, do editing, or do whatever it is with communication, the idea is not to stop learning. And to be prepared, you should never come up and say, oh, I know this, I'm not going to understand something more. No, you should say, okay, I don't know this, maybe I should learn about it. And you should be very, very flexible enough to, adapt to what is happening around you. Because That's how it works. And communicating from the heart will never go wrong. The day you become a machine and you say, I will only string these kind of words together, is when communication stops becoming communication. It needs to be from the heart. If you feel it, think of yourself, put yourself in the user's position and then write or then create communication. You will not actually go wrong. You will be where you need to be, or you will get the results that you are seeking if you talk from the heart. And yes, please use Grammarly. Grammarly helps you. You get to learn something more. If it helps you understand better, it gives you helps you understand your tone. It will help you do a lot of things. So the more you use Grammarly, right, the more you tend to, understand tonality. You will understand when you need to be aggressive. You understand when you need to be assertive or polite. Or it automatically you start singing sentences. Communication, anything that you need, very seamlessly. You will not realize it, but your brain has already registered all those things happening because you've been doing it. So I think those are the things that you should try. Everybody should remember. Anybody wanting to get into communication should.